Coming up next, this is fascinating. If Ravi Shankar was the name I was trying to say, Iron Maiden and Black Sabbath got together to produce a man-child. That man-child is now headed towards the stage. Please welcome Sandeep Dhanjani!
Lights are brighter than I expected them to be. Let's start with the comedy, I guess. I've always been jealous of musicians, to the point where there's a pianist who plays in the coffee shop I go to down the street where I live, and I always give her the toughest requests. I'm like, play Area Codes by Ludacris right now for me. And as the weeks progress, I've been torturing her more, like play Thundercats or G.I. Joe, you know, and the moment I realized that I would stop being jealous of comedians is when I thought being funny was more important. And I remember the exact moment. I was at a U2 concert, and Bono was up there on stage clapping his hands so dramatically. Every time I clap my hands, a child in Africa dies. And some guy in the crowd just screams out, "Stop clapping your fucking hands!" That was the first time I cried for children in Africa. Recently, I went to a house party, and we're talking about a house party that's disgusting. We're talking about, you know, bathroom within its own ecosystem, animals grazing in the kitchen. And I put my beer down, and this guy just screams, "Stop using a fucking coaster!" Or, "Use a fucking coaster." And essentially my response is, if there's a dead hooker in the corner, does a coaster really count? I mean, is that really necessary? I mean, in his defense, it was a nice coffee table. Actually, speaking of dead hookers, you like that segue? Have you heard of the Craigslist killer? He's standard issue murderer, you know, killing prostitutes in the Long Island area, you know, basic stuff. But what really caught me was the press conference with the sheriff of the department saying he recommended all prostitutes stop being prostitutes. Step one. But also step two, if you are going to prostitute yourself, use the buddy system. That is brilliant. I was like, that is good safety tip, great marketing campaign. It's like at the gym, getting someone to spot you. Just, you know, just imagine getting a blowjob while a jittery hooker with a shotgun is watching you. Now that I think about it, that might lead to performance problems. Recently was Pride Week. I'm sure everyone went out to support Pride Week. Yeah, woo, Pride Week. Well, so did I, but I was not aware I was at a Pride event, which is always fun. My usual routine of hitting up women went from, you know, negligible to absolute zero, and the response of "I'm a lesbian," and my response being, "I can work with that." My parents are here, which is great because there's been so much talk about blow and hookers and that's going to be fun to deal with later. My mom always told me to look at the positive things of life, and I drive a shitty car. So one of the pluses of driving a crappier car is that you live without fear. Like, you want to do this 2007 Malibu, you know, like in a crunch where it face, and it's always some Asian lady wearing a visor, like, what? And you just feel so much more confident. My dad's here as well. One of the things I remember with my dad growing up was he'd always take me to, like, you know, Leaf games and stuff, you know, once or twice a year, and like, growing up, my dad would always want to leave the game early to avoid traffic on the way out of there. And it destroyed me, because like you'd be sitting on the car ride home and like the Leafs would just catch up and win the game, and well, it only happened once, but I mean, that one time it happened, you know, it really sucked. Recently, I tried to sign up for joining a gym, which is a terrible experience. They always ask you what your goals are. And I'm like, I want to fuck that girl. I want to be non-picture like, distracting. That's what I want. Which is never really, you know. And I don't want to change my diet. I want to drink beers constantly. What I hate is when a friend finds out and a guy who's in worse condition shape than you says, "I'll personal train you. Just come to my basement. You don't need a gym membership." Bro, I'd kill to look like you. Like, I don't know what you say to them. Has anyone experienced it before, but I assume everything now is a touchscreen. I go to restaurants and start touching plasmas that I'm not supposed to. And people stare at me. I'm like, you know what? I'm just a time traveler from the week in the future. I'm going to replace that screen next week. You're going to be able to order from that. Guys, this has been a pleasure. And I am out of here. Thank you very much.
Sandeep Dhanjani.